Hello, welcome to episode of the Bubbs on Sports podcast. Today is Monday, May 22nd. Hope for everybody's having a day so far and a good rest of their day yesterday. Hope for everybody enjoyed the weekend. It was a very successful weekend for both the New York baseball teams as the Yankees get the sweep of the Reds and the Mets sweep the Guardians, and the doubleheader yesterday where Max Scherzer and Justin Verlander did just about everything Mets fans could have asked them to do yesterday, as they look like the two pitchers that the Mets fans expected to get earlier this season. And it seems like the Mets are starting to turn the corner. Yankees continue to turn the corner. We kind of saw the Yankees start to turn the corner on success and getting healthier and playing better baseball here around last week or so, where you split against the Rays, then you won 3 of 4 against Toronto. Now you go into Cincinnati and sweep a Reds team that you should take care of them. And they're the Reds. They're not very good. They're 19-27 coming out of this series. They're last place in the NL Central. It's a team you should beat. You take care of business against them, and now you get a big homestand, 6 games coming up here, 3 against Baltimore, and then 3 against a San Diego team that has been probably the biggest disappointment so far in the MLB, as they are way below 500 with all the stars of Juan Soto, Xander Bogaerts. You look at the rotation of Yu Darvish and Joe Musgrove and, other batters like Tatis and, Manny Machado, who's on the IL. They've been huge, very disappointing. Last place, or second to last place right now, I think. Only the Rockies are worse than the Padres right now in the NL West. So that's all you need to know about the Padres. So big homestand coming up for the Yankees. Mets will hit the road. We'll get into both these teams here to start off the program here today. I also want to get to a little bit of NBA and NHL playoffs. Been a pretty lopsided postseason. Or I should say Eastern Conference, Western Conference Finals for the NHL and the NBA. You have the Panthers up 2-0 on the Hurricanes. You have the Golden Knights up 2-0 on the Stars after an overtime winner yesterday. And then you look at the NBA, and the Celtics get blown out last night in Miami against the Heat. They're down 3-0. And the Lakers can't hit a 3 right now. LeBron's not playing to what he was. LeBron's not playing the way he was in the first 2 rounds. The Nuggets are just more dominant. They're better than the Lakers, and the Lakers are down 3-0. So we have 4 series going on right now, 2 in the NHL, 2 in the NBA, and they're both lopsided. 2-0 leads in the NHL, 3-0 leads right now in the NBA. Hopefully the Stanley Cup and the NBA Finals is not this lopsided, because I'll tell you what, we are heading right into 2 sweeps in the NBA, and if the Hurricanes can't win tonight, you assume the Panthers probably take care of business in Game 4 and sweep Carolina. So same thing with Vegas as well. Dallas might steal 1 game, but other than that, you're looking at these series pretty lopsided so far. So we'll get into that as well later on. But we'll start off today here, as I mentioned, with the Yankees and the Mets, and both teams with very, very successful weekends. Yankees get the job done yesterday 4-1. They take care of business against Cincinnati, sweep them 6-2 in Game 1. Final extra inning game 7-4 in Game 2, and then obviously they get the win yesterday in Sevy's season debut coming off injury, 4-1, where you had no Judge in the lineup. You look at the lineup, it's funny because you remove Judge from the lineup and you look at this Yankees lineup and it's like, man, this is not good. But it's crazy what one guy does to a lineup, especially a guy like Aaron Judge, removing him from a lineup, how much power, how much talent. He's the best player in baseball, one of the best players in baseball right now. What he does at the plate is phenomenal. He's hot right now. And Aaron Boone loves his double off days, gives Judge an off day yesterday. Yankees have a scheduled off day today. They'll obviously welcome Baltimore to Yankee Stadium tomorrow, opening up of a 3-game set, 6-game homestand. But it was a good win for the Yankees. And as I mentioned as well, with the Mets, 3 very big wins over the Guardians, 2 of them coming back. And, you kind of feel like with the Mets, and we'll start with the Yankees here in a second, but just to give a quick overview here on the Mets, you felt like that game against Tampa. And it's funny how sports work. And this is kind of New York sports, I guess, in a nutshell here. Justin Verlander against Tampa in his first start at Citi Field to open up the homestand. Obviously, the Rays were in New York to play the Yankees. They had a 7-game road trip in New York. 4 against Yankees, 3 against Tampa. They came out of it and it wasn't successful. They split against the Yankees, and they lost 2 of 3 against the Mets. But you felt like on Tuesday, the Mets hit rock bottom against Tampa. They lose 8-5. Justin Verlander gets shelled in his Citi Field debut, and he was getting booed coming off the mound. You go to last night, Sunday Night Baseball, throws 8 strong innings, and getting cheered coming off the mound. That right there is kind of New York sports. in a nutshell in a way, where he was getting booed less than a week ago, same homestand, and at the end of the homestand, he's getting cheered coming off the mound, and you feel like that was rock bottom, and since then, the Mets have won 5 straight. They now get to 25-23 on the year. They went into this homestand, this 6-game homestand they came in, they were 20-23, or 20-22, I should say. They come out of it 25-23, and some big comeback wins. Vientos with a homer, Alvarez playing well, Beatty playing well, the young guys providing energy in the lineup. A lot to like for the Mets, as they are now 5 games out of Atlanta, but they're building in there and they're starting to play well. You get 3 against Chicago coming up. You get the Rockies as well, 2 teams that you've had trouble with the Rockies already, but 2 teams that you should be able to beat. Then there's a tough stretch there where they got to play the Blue Jays, got to play the Braves, but a good homestand for the Mets. But back to the Yankees here, again with the series win. Look, the Yankees now, they're currently 5.5 back of Tampa. You've got the big series coming up against Baltimore here where you can gain some ground. You win, let's say you sweep Baltimore, and it's crazy to think, it really is crazy to think what Baltimore has turned into. They're 31-16. They're only the 2nd team in the MLB right now. There's 2 teams in the MLB that have over 30 wins, and they're both in the AL East. It's the Tampa Bay Rays, who are 34-13, and it's the Baltimore Orioles, who are 31-16. And it's crazy to think what the Orioles have turned into, because the Orioles are a team that 2 years ago, you would see them on the schedule and you would be so excited because you get 3 games against the Orioles. It would be, all the players would be able to boost their batting average. They would be 8-1, 8-2 wins. The Yankees would go into Camden Yards and just crush baseballs all over the park before they move the wall out back, before they will move the wall back in Camden Yards. Judge, Gleyber Torres used to kill the Orioles. And it's funny what they've turned into. Now they are a legitimate threat. And you look at the Orioles now, and they're a bigger threat than the Blue Jays. They're a bigger threat than the Red Sox. They've got a better record than the Astros. The Orioles are one of the better teams right now in baseball. So it's crazy to think. And you got to give credit to the Orioles. They went into this long, long rebuild where they were at the bottom of baseball for about 4 years. After Buck Showalter left, after Adam Jones, Manny Machado, Jonathan Scope, all those guys, after they left, they were at the bottom of baseball for a while. It was just a bunch of no names, a couple prospects here and there, guys just on 1-year deals, in and out, in and out, in and out. And they've got prospects, Gunnar Henderson, Adley Rutschman, Cedric Mullins has been a great pickup, Ryan Mountcastle. They've got pieces all over the place. Their bullpen's been very good. Yanir Cano, I think is how you pronounce it, has been an excellent, excellent guy in the bullpen. But it's crazy to think where the Orioles once were and where they are now. And the Yankees got to, track them down. They're 3 games back of the Orioles. They're 5.5 back of the Rays. If you can find a way here to take 2 of 3 against Baltimore coming up, the Rays get a series against the Blue Jays, and the Rays haven't been playing very well. I know they won the series against the Brewers. They won the first 2 games, but they took the loss yesterday, and then they lost 2 or 3 against the Mets. So the Rays have definitely been sliding a little bit. It's not like they're on this just downward spiral, but they're not quite as dominant as they were just even 2 weeks ago. They've definitely slowed down a little bit, and you get a Blue Jays team who is struggling right now. We saw that, with the Yankees. They've now dropped all the way into last place. It's crazy how last week in the AL East right now is all over the place because you got a Blue Jay team who just last week was in 3rd place right behind Baltimore, and now they're in last place. You got a Yankee team that was just in last place, and now they're in 3rd place with an opportunity to get within a game, within 2nd place, and about 3 games within 3rd place, depending on how the Blue Jays-Rays series plays out. But it's just crazy to think how far Baltimore has come. And again, you got to give credit to the Orioles front office because they entered this rebuild. They were trashed for so long. They got a lot of heat from the MLB in terms of purposely tanking, but it's obviously worked. They've executed a rebuild. That's the positive side of it. The negative side is if it doesn't work out and you got to go to like plan B and C, which is usually never good. And that's how teams stink for a while. But the Orioles executed it, and it's crazy to think, like, 2 years ago, we'd see the Orioles on the schedule. They'd be like 15, 16 games below 500, and you're like, oh, Orioles coming up. Everybody just, Gleyber Torres will rake, all this stuff. But opening up tomorrow against a very good Orioles team. Obviously, the Yankees DFA'd Hicks as well, which was a long time coming. This really should have happened probably about 3 years ago. Hicks was atrocious. I mean, one thing, again, there's two Yankees I always talk about. It's Donaldson and Hicks. They're probably the two most, well, it was the Hicks, but when they were both on the team, or when Hicks was still here, I should say, because Donaldson's still here, he's just hurt. Those are the two most hated Yankees. I think we can all agree on that, right? And the one thing we can say about Donaldson is he brings the glove at third base. He's phenomenal defensively. He's still one of the better defensive third basemen in all the league. He can't hit, but he can give you defense. One thing about Aaron Hicks is he couldn't give you anything. He basically did nothing for this team. His outfield, especially last year, defensively was horrific. There was a couple really bad blunders in the outfield where you go back to the Tampa game last year, I remember. He thinks the ball is foul, puts his head down, kind of walks, over towards the ball because he's upset he didn't catch it, and the Rays just rounded the bases. And, you had to get all the fans and everybody scream at him that it was a fair ball until he finally was able to pick the ball up and throw it in, even though the damage was already done after that. From the striking out, he had a 188 batting average this year. He provided just about nothing. And it was good for both sides. You look at the human aspect. You can't tell me he enjoyed it here. You can't sit here and tell me this season was fun for him. He barely played. When he was out there, he was getting booed. No matter what he did, Yankee fans have lost everything for it. Like Yankee fans were booing him no matter what. No matter what he did. It would have had to take a dramatic change of a season for Aaron Hicks to gain respect back, if there was any respect in the first place from Yankee fans. Some of the quotes he said, he was openly frustrated. This is good for both sides. Him getting booed, the fans not wanting him here. He gets a fresh start somewhere. I don't know if he'll get a fresh start this year. I mean, I'm sure a team picked up Joey Gallo. The Dodgers took Joey Gallo. They traded for Joey Gallo. The one thing that Hicks is, his contract's big, and the Yankees got to eat $30 million. Look, it's the Yankees. They can do that, and I've been saying that for a while now. You got to move on. You just got to move on. It happened. It was a failure of a deal. Why did they extend him 7 years after the 2019 season? I don't know why. That's probably one of Cashman's worst mistakes. He's made a lot of them, and that ranks up there as probably one of the worst ones. But he's gone, and that's, at the end of the day, all that matters. He's gone. It's probably about 3 years late, but he's gone. You move on. We'll see if he gets another opportunity elsewhere. Again, a team traded a prospect for Joey Gallo. That was the Dodgers. It was a middle line pitch. It was about an average middle of the prospect type pitcher rank in the rankings, and the Yankees gave up Gallo. Gallo's with the Twins now. I'm sure if a team's going to take a chance on Joey Gallo after his failures here, somebody probably will take a chance on Hicks. Smaller market, maybe he thrives maybe he does something somewhere else. The thing is, are the Twins open to a reunion with Hicks? I don't know. I mean, the thing with Hicks is he was never that good with the Twins. He was okay with the Twins. The Yankees had this weird obsession with him. And the Yankees do this a lot with players, where they'll bring in a player and they have this weird, they love the guy and he's not that good. They love Aaron Hicks. Hicks was not that good, even prior to signing the deal. And I know he hit 27 home runs in 2018 and he was good at defensively. His bat never was able to come around, but again, it's within the past 2 seasons really is when the defense started to drop off, and that was the end there. That was the end of it. So Hicks is gone, long overdue. We'll see if he goes elsewhere. I mean, I could see a team maybe signing him to a minor league deal or going into AAA or whatever, and then working his way up. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what all happens with Aaron Hicks. But yeah, back to the kind of that was just the big news from the Yankees there. They picked up Greg Allen. They traded for him. He actually scored the winning run against the Reds over the weekend in Game 2, where they won 7-4 in extra innings. It's crazy to think Greg Allen, his road has been wild, because he goes 2021, he was with the Yankees, spent some time with us, was actually pretty good in about the 15 to 18 games he played. And then 2022 spent a little bit of time with the Pirates. And then this year was with the Red Sox, never played with the big league club, but was with the Red Sox. And now the Yankees bring him in. So he had some speed. He had a threat on the bases. And you go to yesterday's game, and that's what, Greg Allen did. He worked the walk, and he stole a base, or Bowers worked the walk. And then they put Greg Allen in as a pinch runner. He stole a base, and then there was a wild pitch, and he was at third. And I got to admit, that's one thing I will say about this Yankee team this year. They've been and really it's not just the Yankees. It's really baseball in general, but there's been a lot more guys that have been stealing bases this year and have been threat on the bases. With the the pickoff limit, you only have so many pickoffs before you have to get them at first base, to the pitch clock where pitchers sometimes feel rushed, don't have enough time to kind of peek over at first, all that kind of stuff. Where pitchers have to pitch it or whatever the case may be. With the pitch clock and the faster pace of game, the bigger bases, we've seen stolen bases. We've seen guys capitalize on wild pitches, pass balls a whole lot more than we've seen last year. And especially the Yankees, from Volpe, who has been phenomenal on the bases. You saw yesterday Greg Allen. Even just the thought of having like a Volpe on first base, it gets in the pitcher's head. And we saw that a lot this year already, where Volpe will get on, and the pitcher will start throwing balls because he knows Volpe's on. He knows he might steal. So he rushes his delivery because he wants to get the ball home. So if he is going, he gives the catcher enough time to get the throw down the second. And with that all being in his head, even if Volpe doesn't steal, his location starts to get thrown off. And we've seen that a lot. And you saw yesterday, and then Volpe ripped a double in. A stolen base, wild pitch, Volpe doubled down the third base line, and a run scores. The Yankees then at that point make it 4-1. You also had the Bader home run yesterday, which was a 2-run shot after Willie Calhoun worked the walk. Bader's been great. Obviously started the year on the IL, has come back. His slash line right now, 277, 309, 523, and an OPS way over 8 at 832. So he's been great, has provided a lot of energy offensively and defensively. Bader's a guy that thrives in New York. He really is. Like, he's a guy that, there's a lot of Yankees, Aaron Hicks, for example, Joey Gallo. There's a lot of Yankees players, Sonny Gray. There's been tons of names that guys, especially that have been brought over at the trade deadline. You can even throw Frankie Montez in that equation too, although his tenure here is not over just yet. But you can look at a lot of Yankee players that have failed. And there are a lot of guys, though, that succeed in New York in a big way because they love the bright lights and they love the pinstripes. And it's funny, you look at Bader's splits from his time with the Cardinals, he was a very good hitter away from St. Louis, but wasn't good at home. Like, at St. Louis, he was not good. When he got on the road, was very good. And we've seen that now with the Yankees. He was a borderline like 250, 240 hitter with his time in St. Louis. Very good away from the home stadium, and very, he was always been a 250, 260. He's a career 246 hitter. He's come to the Yankees, hit over 300 in the postseason, and now he's batting 270 so far through 19 games coming off the IL. He's been great. Been a big bat to add back in the lineup. You add Bader back. You add Judge back in. You already have Rizzo, who's batting at 300 now. And I'll tell you this, Rizzo has really turned out to be just a phenomenal signing for the Yankees. When you traded for him at the deadline 2 years ago to bringing him back this year, 2-year deal. He's right now in the middle of, this is not a guy that usually hits in the 300s, a guy that has benefited from the shift being banned. A lot of his hits that probably weren't hits last year are hits this year. And we knew that with Rizzo. And Rizzo, I was excited to see how that would impact. I didn't think his batting average would be over 300. But where he is right now, he's batting 302. He's got an OPS over 9. He's got 11 home runs, which is second on the team, only behind Aaron Judge, who is absolutely raking right now. There's a lot to like, and Stanton's coming back too. And look, I hope Stanton comes back and gets in the groove early, because we know with Stanton, he can come back, and it takes him a while to get back into the mix. But the Yankees are getting a lot healthier. And it's really starting to show this complete lineup. And I was hard on the Yankees early on. I really was. Even with all the injuries, they were horrendous. But they're turning it around. You're 29-20. You're 9 games up on 500. You're right in the heart of the division race. And that's all you can ask for with this team continuing to get healthy. Stanton coming back. You hope Rodon comes back soon. I know he's throwing right now. I think he was supposed to throw a pen soon. When he gets back in the rehab and stuff, that's really when you start to focus on that. But Rodon, you hope, can come back sooner rather than later. You get Rodon back in the mix. Sevy came back yesterday. Had a very strong first outing for Sevy. 4 2/3, 4 hits, 1 run, 1 earned, 1 walk, 5 Ks, 75 pitches, 54 strikes. Was solid. And again, if that's an outing in August where Sevy's healthy and fully built up, he probably gives you 5-6 strong innings instead of just 4 1/3, because they had him at pitch count. They wanted him to throw 70-75. He was right at 75, but it was a very good outing for Sevy. And the only run that scored yesterday for the Reds was unfortunate. I guess if that's the right word you want to call it. So in the first inning, Jonathan India walks, and then he gets a strikeout and gets Fraley to fly out to Bader, and then Steer comes up and he rips a double down the right field line. Now, at first the umpire called it foul rather, and Bader clearly touched it fair, then went into foul territory. Or not Bader, Bowers clearly touched it fair, went into foul territory. The ball kind of rolled out of his glove. It was a tough grab. He was sliding. It was in his glove, popped out of his glove. It was definitely catchable. I mean, the ball was in his glove, and it popped out. So they call the play dead, and India is at third when they call the play dead. Like, he's rounding third. And then he goes home, kind of jogs home after the play's called dead. They give India home. They go into review whether it was a hit first, and then, because at first they didn't even rule it a hit, whether it was a double at first and whether or not the run should scored. And I disagree with the call. They say the run should score, although I thought on those plays everybody should just advance once. The run shouldn't score there. It should have technically been second and third. Boone ends up getting thrown out before it was even 12 o'clock. He gets thrown out in the bottom of the first. That was the only run Sevy let up yesterday. A double that the run probably shouldn't even have scored, and it was a double that was catchable. Like, I'm not blaming Bauer. It was a tough catch, but the ball was in his glove. If the ball's in your glove, you got to squeeze it. So it was kind of one of those unfortunate plays, but that was it. The rest of the game was clean for Sevy, especially the third and fourth inning where he worked 1-2-3 inning, 1-2-3 inning. And then obviously you go to the fifth, he gets the first two guys to strike out. Benson, he got him looking. He got Newman swinging. And then it was a single by Maley, and he reached 75 pitches. So, again, if once he gets, like, if this was a Sevy start normally and he's healthy, he'd probably go 6-7 in this game. And that's all you can ask for. So, very good outing from Sevy. You get him back into the mix. And you needed Sevy back because the Johnny Brito magic, which was very magical to start the year. His first two starts were great. You're like, okay, maybe the Yankees found something, was excellent in spring training, and has really fallen off, especially in the second game of the series. Location wasn't good. Teams are starting to catch up on him. It's tough. It's tough. Sevy's a whole lot better than Johnny Brito. So you needed him back, obviously. And hopefully Nestor, too, had a good outing his last time out, too. Hopefully he can start to get back into a groove. But, again, a big series coming up against the Orioles. 3 games for the Yankees. He got the sweep yesterday, where it took him until the fifth inning to get to start scoring. But yeah, 2 in the fifth by the Bader 2-run shot. Then in the sixth, he had a Torres solo shot, and then again the Volpe double. Volpe's had a lot of big hits this season. He really has. For a guy that's young, he's going to go through growing pains. He struck out 3 times yesterday. 2 of them looking. It's going to happen. It's just all a part of the process of being a young player. You got to go with the good days and go with the bad days. Like it just happens. You got to enjoy the good days, and you just got to be patient on the bad days with Anthony Volpe because he's young, he's learning, he's playing every day. This is what you want. Like, not you don't want him to struggle, but this is what you want for a young player. Just be at the major league level and just get reps. Get reps. Just continue to learn, continue to grow. That's the only way. You're not going to do him any good. It's not even that he's not even playing. I mean, he's batting above 200. Like, it's not like he's batting 130 right now and he can't hit the baseball. He's got a couple he's got a couple home runs. He's already got a grand slam. He's been very good. Like, I've been surprised with Volpe. I've liked Volpe's performance. Sure, the batting average might not be there, but he's had some big hits and some big spots. He's had a lot of extra base hits. He's a threat on the bases. He's had a couple defensive miscues, but all in all, he's been solid at short. Volpe's had a very good season so far. But, again, not that they're going to send him down, but I'm not a huge supporter of sending guys down. What are they going to do? Okay, so they can rake at AAA. They can bat 290 at AAA. Bat over 300 at AAA, come back up to the major league level, and this is still hard. Like, look, the Mariners with Jared Kelenic. Now, he's hitting well this year, but he's a guy that was bad up at the MLB level. They kept sending him down, kept bringing him back up, and nothing was working. You just got to get it's experience, just building experience. And you could start to see, too, some of his at-bats, there's a couple pitches that he was swinging at earlier in the year that he's starting to lay off a little bit. He's starting to. There's still a lot of pitches, especially the one up in the zone that he swings at a lot. There's still a lot of pitches, too, at times. They get him on the off speed, especially low and outside that he swings at. But there are times where like earlier in the year, the first month in April, he was swinging at just about everything. Now you're starting to see him take some of these pitches. He's still swinging at a lot of them, but you're starting to see him take a couple of these pitches that he usually swings at. And if that can continue to just, the IQ, the seeing the ball at the plate, if that can continue to improve, that's huge. That really is huge. So, good series win. Bullpen was very good yesterday as well. Holmes was iffy, allowed 2 hits, and then walked the guy. Luckily, Benson came up, who was like 1 for 30 in his career or something like that, or this season. Just got called up from AAA, so Clay Holmes gets out of it. I don't trust Clay Holmes. I don't. I don't know what the Yankees are gonna do. At the deadline, if they go out and make a move for a closer. I mean, you have Doval and Camilo Doval in San Francisco. I'm not too sure actually how he's doing this year, but I know he's a solid arm. I know the Giants like him a lot, and the Giants are a team that right now are out of it. They're 2 games under 500. I mean, I know in the NL, the National League is extremely weak this year, which is crazy. They're only 2 games out of a wild card spot. Usually it's the AL. But, I don't know if he'd be an option. Maybe like the Reds, they have Diaz, who is Edwin Diaz's brother, Alexis Diaz. So I don't know, if they're sellers, do you go after a guy like him? I do still think the Yankees, as much as their bullpen's been very good, their bullpen's been pleasantly surprised. It's top 3, they have like the 3rd best bullpen ERA in baseball. Their bullpen's been good. And it's names that you going into the year didn't think would be getting out. Like Ryan Weber's getting big outs. Jimmy Cordero's getting big outs, right? Even Ian Hamilton before going on the IL. At the beginning of the year, you thought it'd be Loaizaga, and you thought it would be Tommy Kahnle, and all these other, Michael King, who's also gotten big outs. But, Marinaccio has been very good. The bullpen's been good. Holmes is shaky. He is. And he's streaky, too. There's outings where he'll go 2-3 outings looking dominant, and then he'll have a stretch of 2-3 outings where he looks really bad. He's very inconsistent. I like Wandy a lot. I wouldn't mind Wandy in a closer role, but I would still like maybe if the Yankees go out and try and get another late inning guy. And I know they're getting healthier. I know they're getting guys back. Like hopefully Loaizaga, comes back. Kahnle, I know, through a rehab assignment yesterday, I think it was, with Tampa. So you hope you get Kahnle back. You get more arms back, you'll be able to piece it together a little bit more. But Clay Holmes is still a little shaky. It's one thing to get out of a jam against the Reds, but in October against the Rays or against the Astros, or if you face the Orioles, and those lineups are a lot more stronger than the Reds, it could get iffy. That'd probably be my biggest concern right now with the Yankees probably is that closer role. And again, I understand that you can win without a closer, but do the Yankees just completely take Clay Holmes out of that role? I like Wandy a lot in the closer role. I do. Maybe the Yankees just and Wandy this year against Tampa closed out 2 games in a row. Against a good Rays team over last weekend. Wandy's been very good this year, a very good closer. And he got some action yesterday through 8 pitches in 1 inning, got out of it cleanly. 1 inning, got a bunch of weak contact and got out of it. So it'll be interesting to see what the Yankees do at the back end of that, or the closer role of that bullpen. And as I mentioned as well, the Mets with a big weekend there, 25-23. They're 5 games out here on Atlanta now. Again, you feel like they were at rock bottom with that Rays loss, and then you come back and you win the next 2 against Tampa. You win the Wednesday game, which was 10-inning game, crazy game. You get Vientos homer, you get the Pete Alonso walk-off, all that good stuff for the Mets. You get a big win there. To come back in a game like that, the Mets showing some signs of life, that's a game right there that you look back on where they hit rock bottom. They lose 10-3 against the Nationals on Monday. They split that series there. Then they go home and they get smoked in game 1 against the Rays where Verlander was terrible. And maybe that Wednesday game turns it around for the Mets. Maybe it does. Maybe it doesn't. The Mets might go into Chicago and get swept and everybody's back panicking again. That's baseball. You never know. But right now, the Mets are on a 5-game win streak, and it seems like that win, or I guess you could say that rock bottom of a loss, whatever was said or done, the Mets have found a way to turn it around because You get the win on Wednesday 8-7. You get the win that Thursday 3-2. You beat the Rays, who have the best record in baseball, after losing the first game in very bad fashion with one half of your ace of your rotation, Justin Verlander, getting rocked in his Citi Field debut. And then you play the Guardians. And Friday night was wild. You get the 10-9 victory there. You're down 7-3. You're down 5-0 at one point. Then you get down 7-3. Pete Alonso walks up in the bottom of the 7th, hits a grand slam, ties the game 7-7. The Guardians put up 2 in the 10th. Francisco Lindor gets 3 big runs, or gets the big walk-off. Mets score 3 runs in the bottom of the 10th, win that game 10-9. It's funny because if you remember last week, we were talking about the Yankees with the Rays. It was or 2 weeks ago now, I guess, whatever you want to say. When the Yankees were playing the Rays, they had that big win on Friday night after getting crushed on Thursday. Big win Friday night. Everybody was like, game of the year, where they took the lead, they lost the lead, took the lead, lost the lead, took the lead again, right? And then that Saturday game, they got another huge win, and it was like that was the game of the year. For the Mets, it feels the same way. They hit rock bottom, lose 8-5. You have the game of the year on Wednesday where they come back and win 8-7. And then on Friday, they have another huge game, 10-9. And that game's even better than the win on Wednesday over the Guardians, where Lindor had a very good series. And again, you hope, if you're a Mets fan, you hope that Lindor, this is the start of something, for him. Alonso was struggling there a little bit. This homestand, he started to, get his power swing back a little bit. If he can get going, it's huge for a guy, especially like Lindor. Starling Marte had a very big day yesterday. He took the lead with his homer. His batting average is now up around 245. So he went 3 for 4. You hope, if that can open up Marte. There was a lot of big performances from a lot of Mets players that have been struggling this year. Lindor, Marte. Again, Alonso's had a very good year power-wise, but he slowed down a little bit power-wise. Especially coming out of the National Series. And, the win against the Rays, then the big grand slam against the Guardians, maybe that unlocks his power surge again. Alonso's streaky, though. That's kind of just the player he is. He'll go stretches where he'll hit 10 games, not 10 games. He'll hit homers in 5 straight games, and then he won't hit a homer again for 15 games in a row. He goes through, he's just a streaky hitter. He's a power hitter. That's what power hitters are. And I was talking to somebody about this yesterday. That's what makes Aaron Judge so special. He can hit for average and he can hit for power. Alonso is your typical power hitter. 230 batting average. He's going to hit home runs. He's going to strike out. That's what he's going to do. He's going to slump. But when he's on his game, he can go off for 45, 50 home runs a year. And if you bat 230 and you hit 50 home runs, nobody's going to care about your strikeouts if you're hitting home runs and if you're hitting them in big spots. That's just what Pete Alonso does. So, maybe he found his power surge back again after losing it a little bit there. You get the win on Sunday where you look at the score and you say, man, 5-4, Scherzer must have gotten, allowed at least 3 or 4 runs. That wasn't the case. Scherzer was great. Probably hit one of his best outings of the year. 6 innings, 5 Ks, 3 hits. You're still waiting as a Mets fan, and I know he was dealing with a little bit of an injury yesterday, but you're still waiting as a Mets fan for that vintage Max Scherzer performance where he goes out and gives you 8 innings, no runs, 9 Ks or 10 Ks, and you shut out the other team. You're still waiting for that. Yesterday was solid, but you're still waiting for that one vintage 105 pitches, 8-inning game, 12 strikeouts, Max Scherzer dominance. You're still waiting for that. We'll see if you get that yet. But yesterday was really promising for Max Scherzer and Justin Verlander. But Adam Ottavino, who I don't know what's going on with him, he got roughed up yesterday pretty badly. And his ERA now is swollen all the way up to 4.82. And overall in the year, Brooks Raley had a very good day. Had a clean 9-pitch inning in Game 1 and then closed it out in Game 2. Ottavino is iffy. He's been iffy. And, his ERA is gone all the way up to 4.82. And considering, it's actually funny. When you went into the year, you looked at the Mets, and when you looked at their pitching, most people would say the bullpen's going to be the issue. The starting rotation's going to carry. And actually, it hasn't been the case. It's been the starting rotation's been the issue, and the bullpen has had to carry the load. Yesterday was a little bit of the opposite, where Scherzer goes out there, throws a gem, bullpen almost blows it. They luckily, they found a way to come back, put it up 2 in the 8th with the big Marte homer. But Ottavino was not good. David Robertson's been very good this year. There's been a lot of other guys in that bullpen that have really stepped up for the Mets, but Ottavino is just he smoked me in fantasy, where he got me -7. I was still able to get the win in fantasy, but it was rough. It was close. And then last night again, 2-1. Lindor defensively and offensively getting the job done. He takes Shane Bieber deep to tie it up. Mets then get the win. One more in the bottom of the 8th. And Verlander throws 8 innings, 3 hits, 1 run, 5 strikeouts. He allowed the first inning homer by Jose Ramirez, and that was all the scoring. After that, it was shutdown baseball for Justin Verlander. So you look at yesterday, and you go into the day with Scherzer and Verlander pitching, and if you're a Mets fan, you have to feel like you have to get at least one of the two. You have to pull out at least one of them. Win the series, and you get both of them, and that's what Max Scherzer and Justin Verlander are supposed to do. It hasn't really happened much at all yet. Again, I've always said that I still thought it was a little too early to pull the plug on Verlander. I did think there was legitimate concern around Scherzer, though. He's a whole month and a half in. He hasn't looked like Scherzer. Yesterday, he looked like Scherzer. But Verlander is only, 4 starts in. Yesterday, I think it was, his 4th start. I think yesterday was his 4th start. So that's what you got to get that out of your pit. You've got to get that out of the top of your rotation. You have to, and I think the Mets got that yesterday. They did, as much as they haven't gotten it quite this year. They're on a roll now. They're 25-23. They're 2 games up on 500 after being down 3 games under 500 just 5 games ago. They need that out of their pitching. They really do. Especially if the lineup comes through. That's kind of how the Mets are built. Verlander and Scherzer taking the mound, the offense will do the rest. That's how the Mets are built, and they need those type of performances here more often, because that's how they're going to win games. So they got the Cubs coming up for 3, then they got the Rockies as well for 3, so they hit the road. And then they got the Phillies coming to Citi Field after that. So that's May. And then you head into June. It's crazy. May's almost over. You head into June then, and that's where the stretch gets a little rough. Mets have a 9-game stretch, 6 on the road against good teams. They'll get the Blue Jays for 3. They'll get the Braves for 3 in Atlanta, and then they'll get the Pirates, and then they'll get the Yankees at the Subway Series. So the Yankees' June schedule, or the Mets' June schedule, is rough. So they've got to capitalize, especially against the Rockies. The Cubs are all right. They're average. They're beatable, but they're not as bad as the Rockies. You got to find a way to beat the Rockies. You're in Colorado, high altitude. You just got to find a way to crush baseballs out there and get the wins. But then that's, starting from June 2nd to June 14th will be a massive 11-game stretch for the Mets. 3 against Toronto, 3 against Atlanta, or 3 against Atlanta, 3 against Pittsburgh, and then you got the Subway Series against the Yankees. So, and if the Yankees are still hot going into that, you're getting a lot of good baseball teams. You're getting, you're getting a Blue Jays team that, despite being last place, they're still 3 games up. They have a better record than the Mets. You're getting a Pirates team that is 2nd in the NL Central. You're getting a Braves team that we all know what the Braves are, and you're getting a Yankees team that's hot right now. So the Mets schedule in June is rough. And that's why these wins are important for them, because they couldn't possibly go into June still under 500, or else it could get ugly. So we'll see what they do here in this 6-game road trip coming up before we welcome the Phillies, which have been a huge disappointment so far this year. All right, so now we move on here quickly to some of the NBA and NHL stuff. It's been an interesting start to the NHL and NBA conference final. Not really start. The conference finals are in full swing. But you look at the Vegas Golden Knights series against the Dallas Stars, and Vegas is up 2-0. You look at the Florida Panthers series in Carolina. Now, both those games have gone to overtime, and the Panthers are up 3-0. Or the Panthers are up 2-0. They have an opportunity to go up 3-0 today. Matthew Tkachuk with 2 overtime winners, the 4 overtime game in Game 1 where he got the winner, and yes, the other day on Saturday was a single overtime. He got the game winner there. So those 2 games have been very good, but the series is still 2-0, and Florida heads home, and they have an opportunity here to take a 3-0 series lead just like they did against Toronto. And you take a 3-0 series lead at home, it ain't going to be easy for Carolina. You get swept at home. They've got to find a way to win the game tonight. If they can't win tonight, Florida's going to the Stanley Cup final. And then yesterday, Vegas with an overtime win in overtime. So three of the 4 games so far in the NHL playoffs. Yes, they're both 2-0 series leads. So you look at it and say, it's been pretty lopsided. 3 of the 4 of them have gone into overtime. 3-2 win yesterday for Vegas. On Saturday, it was a 2-1 win for Florida. And then Thursday, the 4 overtime game was a 3-2 win for Florida. The Panthers have been quite the story. When you talk about a team that at the trade deadline many thought were going to sell, and many thought, they made the big trade in the offseason, bringing in Tkachuk, and then many thought that they would really struggle, this year. They were struggling. They weren't, they were at kind of the bottom of the standings. They weren't looking good at all. They found a way to just barely get in. They faced a Bruins team that was historically good. After falling down 3-1, they win 3 straight, go into Boston, Game 7 on the road, get the win there. They take care of business easily against Toronto, make Toronto fire their GM, and now they're here, 2 games away from a Stanley Cup. So it's been a wild story for Florida for sure. You go to the NBA, and, it just head-scratching that game last night. The Heat just crushed the Celtics. So the Knicks lose in 5 against the Heat. And look, I just want to say this, because there's a lot of Knicks fans out there that are acting like with the Heat dominating the Celtics, they should feel better about losing to them. Now, look, the Heat are very good. The fact that the Knicks lost against them it's probably more the Heat just being dominant, but that doesn't take away the fact that the Knicks have legitimate needs. The Knicks have needs that they need to fill this offseason. Like, you can't just say, the Heat, they're really good. We don't really need to do much this offseason because they're really good. Like that's not the mindset you got to have. You've got to still build up your roster. You got to build that end of that bench. You got to get another superstar with Brunson. However that is, what's Julius Randle's future? That all depends. But the Knicks fans right now, I'm seeing all over social media, they're like, the Heat showing that they're this good, it makes the loss it makes it where the Heat are just that good. Like that's a terrible excuse. The Knicks still have a lot of needs that they need to fill. As much as not many people thought the Heat would be able to get past Boston, look, they're the Heat. And they did it again. Last year they got to Boston. They played Boston in the Eastern Conference Finals. Boston won, and I believe it was 7. This year the Heat have the answer. Jimmy Butler is just on another level. He really is. And again yesterday. And you get the Celtics coach, Mazzulla, who just absolutely basically said he lost the locker room. He basically said, I lost the locker room. I got to find a way to get it back. So down 3-0, that tells me he's probably out at the end of the year. Has to be. He literally said he lost the team. You can't be brought back as a head coach if you lost the locker room. And a big reason why you lost the locker room, you're down 3-0. So you're not getting the locker room back, I'll tell you that. Unless if you find a way to pull a rabbit out of your hat and win 4 straight against a Heat team that has shown absolutely no signs of slowing down. Jimmy Butler last night didn't really need to do a ton last night, but what he has done has just been remarkable. In game 1, 27 points. Game 1, 35 points. Game 2, 27 points. Yesterday, and that's another thing too. He only played 31 minutes yesterday. That hurts the Celtics. If there's any way of stopping Jimmy Butler, it's to try and get him worn down and tired. He played 31 minutes after playing 40-plus in the first 2 games. Same thing against that Knicks series. He was on another level. So, Jimmy Butler, man, he has turned into quite the player this postseason. And for the Celtics, they're on the brink of elimination. And the same thing here for the Lakers and the Nuggets. Lakers lose Game 3 on Saturday, 119-108. Lakers can't hit a three-pointer right now. LeBron James not really playing the way he was playing in the first couple games they shot, or in the first couple series. The Lakers shot 31.3% from 3. That can't happen, especially when the opposing team shoots 41.5% and 50% from the field. Nikola Jokic is, again, on another level, 24 points the other day. Jamal Murray as well. The Lakers, the Nuggets are just the better team. Flat out, the Nuggets are the better team. They really are. When you look at the Heat series, it's just the fact that the Heat and Jimmy Butler are taking over. Talent-wise, you can maybe make the argument there might be more talent on the Celtics all around, but their superstar and Jimmy Butler is playing at the highest level. That's what's getting them the win. When you look at the Nuggets, they're just the better team than the Lakers. That's what it comes down to. And there was a lot of hype about the Lakers. And I'll tell you what, you look at the West, there wasn't much hype for the Nuggets coming in because the Nuggets are in a star-studded they're not one of the fun, they're not the showiest, most popular basketball team ever. They don't have all the stars and all these big, Jokic is great, but it's not like Jokic is a big name, but when you compare him to the Jason Tatums and the Giannis and the LeBrons and all these other players, it's like everybody talks about those guys before they talk about Jokic. And you look at how the Western Conference was, and everybody was talking about at the beginning, LeBron James and the Lakers, can they make a run if they're healthy? Golden State Warriors trying to win back-to-back again with Steph Curry. The Clippers, Paul George, Kawhi, all these guys, can they get the win and, can they get deep into the playoffs? The Suns with Chris Paul, who can't even stay healthy, got hurt again. Devin Booker and Kevin Durant. What can they do? The young Sacramento team, De'Aaron Fox, the new kids on the street. Can they make a run? There wasn't much talk about the Nuggets. A lot of people were like, they're not Nuggets. They're back in. And here they are, one game away from eliminating the Lakers. LeBron, L.A., Los Angeles. Nuggets have gone into there and have crushed the Lakers in the first 3 games. And the Lakers just looked out. They look flat out outmatched. They just look. The Nuggets are here, the Lakers are here. That's just where it is. There has been nothing that the Lakers, it seems like there's nothing that the Lakers can do right now to stop Nikola Jokic and the Nuggets. So you're looking at a Nuggets-Heat finals, which going in, I don't know if everybody expected. I think my prediction was Bucks-Warriors was my prediction. And I was obviously wrong. Bucks got eliminated in the first round. Warriors also got eliminated in the first round. So I was wrong about both my picks there. Or I apologize. Warriors were eliminated in the second round. They beat the Sacramento Kings in the first round. But the Bucks got eliminated in the first round to Miami. Miami then beat the Knicks. And you're looking, unless bearing an insane 3-0 comeback. I will tell you this. If we get a Lakers-Celtics NBA Finals, which we've seen a lot in history, 2-story franchises, if you get that, it is going to be amazing storylines going in because you're going to get 2 teams that have come back from down 3-0. So I will tell you, if you do get that matchup, which, if you place a bet on that right now, that the Lakers and Celtics will both, I'm sure people will do it. Put a little money on that. You can earn so much coming out of that. I wouldn't recommend it because I don't think they're not going to do it. But the amount of money you could win right now if you predict a Lakers-Celtics coming back, both back from down 3-0. I don't even know. I don't even think either game will win. I don't even think either team will win. I think that we're heading into 2 sweeps right here. I really do. And the NBA Finals start June 1st, which is crazy. So if a sweep happens today and tomorrow, you're looking at a whole week off before the NBA Finals even starts. It's crazy. I don't think everybody fully expected I don't think everybody expected 2 sweeps in the Eastern in the conference finals. I don't even know if either of the team can win. Sometimes you say, this team's home, they'll pull out a win. I don't even think the Lakers are going to win. They're so outmatched. I don't even think they'll win a game. And after hearing the coach's comments last night for Boston, the fact that he's lost the locker room, how are they going to come out in Game 4? Are they going to come out just flat and then fire him in the offseason and then just bring in somebody else? Are they just going to quit on him? Have they quit on him? If you quit on the coach, you have no chance. So it's an interesting spot for both these conference finals. Anyway, that will do it. Another good episode in the books here. A lot discussed. As you know, a lot more content coming out your way. We will have a ton more baseball coverage, basketball, all that good stuff. So stay tuned. A lot more content coming your way as always. And, as always, hope you enjoyed it. And thanks for watching.